Hey everybody, it's Laser again, giving you the update from Israel, overlooking Bethlehem and Jerusalem, where I've been for the last 31 years. Thank God, unbelievable miracles still happening in the Holy Land. And thank you for all your prayers, all your support. It's unbelievable how many people have finally woken up. All the people were speaking about genocide and Israel's the worst and everything. And after the genocide in Iran that the Iranian regime committed against its own people just for protesting, I mean, those people didn't make a massacre like the people in Gaza did. They just were protesting for women's rights and free speech and religious freedoms. And they slaughtered 45,000 of them. And so many people from that left the whole Free Palestine thing and figured out from learning that there was never any Palestinian people. That was something that was made up in the late 60s here in Israel. All the names, if you can ask me, this is not hatred, this is just education. All the names of the different mullahs. Mullahs is like, they're all these different tribes. That's why so many you have so many of these bloody civil wars and infighting, even in all the modern countries of the Muslim world. Just terrible civil wars of people, even Sunnis against Sunnis, even sometimes it's Shiites against Shiites. You know, the ISIS, they're the Shiites, and they hate Iran, and they hate this Iranian regime, and they're all fanatics. And then the other fanatics, the Al Qaedas, hate the other ones that are the other names. It's all primitive mullahs. And that's what the families who came over here to Palestine, it's a lot of people mixed up. There's some good people that just want to work. They just want to, live a simple lifestyle. And then it's mixed up with all this crazy tribalism and jihad, and everyone else has to convert to Islam, and we're going to take over the whole world. And that is what was in the land of Israel. As late as the early 1900s, you have all these families, Masri, that means Egypt, coming from Egypt. You have the other ones with last names that are coming from Syria, others coming from Iraq, Lebanon, Tunis, all these other places where these just families who were emigrated, most of them came from eternal conflicts in their other countries, just like people who got flooded in Europe and the UK and America from Somalia and all these other internal conflicts caused mostly by Islam and their internal infighting. So a lot of families ended up here. They are not a united people. They were working here. There were more of the Arabs than there were the Jews. It wasn't like people try to make it here like there were no Jews. Jews had been living here throughout the 2,000-year diaspora, not in large numbers, but starting with the Spanish Inquisition. And the people who came not from Europe, they came from North Africa, and they were Sephardi. They were Sephardic Jews. They weren't European Jews that established. There was 30,000 in the late, after the Spanish Inquisition, and at the height in the 1600s, there was 30,000 living in the area of Sfat and Tiberias. I've been there many times. You can go. The Yosef Karo, who made the Jewish Book of Law, which they call the Shulchan Aruch, which means an organized table. That is the book where Yosef Karo, he's buried in Sfat, and that book was written in the late 1500s. So all these people coming up with these conspiracy theories, the Jews, it's not the real Jews, these are Europeans. This is just a whole bunch of conspiracy things. A lot is fed by China. Now, one of the main people who is extremely dangerous. See, the most dangerous things in the world, people, you have to learn this. There's a lot of things in the Bible that you don't have to believe that every word in the Bible fell from God's mouth or wherever. But there's things that you can learn there that there is a lot of wisdom. For instance, the reason the snake, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, was able to fool Eve is he used an approach was, I'm going to use something truthful and use that as a suit to hide the lies. So what did he do? He wanted her to convince her to eat the fruit from the tree. So what did he do? He started with words that things were true. He told her, he pushed her towards the tree and said, Hinny, don't touch the tree. And here, touch the tree. You see, you can touch the tree. God didn't say don't touch the tree. He said don't eat from the tree. So she touches it, and then she sees, oh, it's not a snake. It's not evil. It's telling the truth. So then he said, here, you see, nothing happened. You touched the tree. Then he said, eat of the tree. What I'm explaining to you is a lot of the people, like this Chinese professor from Canada that is paid by the Chinese, and China and Russia are the ones feeding the Tucker Carlsons, they're the ones feeding the woke and broke in the universities, they're the ones feeding the people, foolish people on the right that are weakening America, not understanding that this 47-year-old tumor of this Iranian radical regime that has killed hundreds of Americans, wasted thousands of lives in the region and disabled the region. They are trying to weaken America, saying, no, America should not be in this war. It's just the Jews. That all comes from China propaganda, Russian propaganda, and Islamic propaganda. And they're very slick about it, and many times you get sucked up into it from these conspiracy theories because you don't understand it. If you would check it, you would see from a very young age, if you're Muslim or Christian, that you've been spoon-fed some type of, maybe not direct anti-Semitism, but you know, the Synagogue of Satan, the Jews killed Jesus, all the wicked Pharisees. They paint you an unrealistic picture that if you try to think about it yourself, it just does not make sense what they've been feeding you. Because if you see around the world the amount of people Jews have gotten Nobel Prizes and have contributed to so many things around the world who are Jewish, we see that Judaism, unlike Islam and Christianity, I keep having to tell you these things because you don't want to listen, because this is the major problem in the world, is religions that think that they have to convert everyone to be their way. Those are the people who colonialized. Those are the people who conquered, like Islam, and persecuted. The Jews do not do that. The Jews only believe that they're supposed to live in the land of Israel and be a light unto the nations. I would say that now, as the Jewish people are leading this fight and sacrificing their lives, and we're having bombs fall on our heads constantly, the Iranian regime is throwing these ballistic cluster bombs on our heads, and only by miracle, thousands of people haven't died here. I think it's under 30 people that have died in Israel, and we just had a huge miracle in Haifa yesterday. Unfortunately, people got killed, but the ballistic missile that always explodes, it wasn't shot down, and it didn't explode. It went into the house and it killed people. But if it had exploded, it could have easily been hundreds of people killed. I can't explain it, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of these people that's every word in the Bible fell from heaven, or I'm not one of these people that likes to even use the word God, because the word God is so misused. And this is what I'm asking you all to think about, is just the whole concept of God. Try to go deep into it and let go of the concept that it's something somewhere else, that it's a physical being or somewhere else. That it is all of existence. It is beyond description. Now, the highest spiritual teachers that are from the East have come up with, after reading all the scriptures of all the religions, they say the second best description of God is in the Vedas of the Hindu religion, which means neti neti, which means it's not this and it's not this, means it can't be described. But the highest description, they say, is in the Torah, where Moses asked God in the burning bush when he's told to go tell the Jewish people they have to get out of Egypt, what am I going to tell the Jews who you are, what you are? God says, Eyeh asher eyeh. The closest thing is, I will be what I will be, or I am what I am. It's more something futuristic. Eyeh is, I will be what I will be. Meaning, there is no description, but it's a state of being. It's a state that you and I are it. Everything is it. And we'll be much healthier if we understand that a lot of the things that have mixed into all these religions is a lot of politics. But if you want to talk about what's dangerous, the least dangerous thing to the whole world is Zionism. Much danger than anything, because Zionism is about reestablishing a safe haven for Jews in a state the size of New Jersey. Now, if that seems like something that's dangerous to you in a world where you have Russia trying to conquer Ukraine, you have China buying a half of the world through bribery, through the things it produces so cheaply on the back of the slave labor of its people, who it doesn't give any freedoms to vote or free speech, or this Iranian regime that's now suggesting it's going to put its children around the electrical areas or the transportation areas, so if America tries to bomb, all of their children will be killed. Now, if you think that Zionism is the problem in the world, then your IQ is very low, or as I told you, you've been fed, without noticing it, anti-Semitism from a very young age, fed spoon at the church or in wherever circles you are, saying everything is the problem of the Jews. A lot of it, as most of the people who are educators, who are intelligent people, who have studied history, who are not Jews, who try to figure out anti-Semitism, the majority of it comes down to jealousy. Here you have such a small people. They're in the world today, maybe 14 million. They always seem to survive. They always seem to thrive, even after they go through Holocaust. It's like the cat. He falls, he's about to fall. It looks like a catastrophe. And somehow he lands on his feet and he comes out better. Wherever they go, they seem to thrive and adjust to people can't figure it out. And he says people become jealous of this because there's a lot of other poor people in the world, because of whatever their heritage is or whatever reason you want to explain, do not become so successful. And a lot of other dynasties and things have faded out and changed. And the Jewish thing kept going. There's a lot of jealousy. Am I telling you that the Jews are the chosen people? No. Is there a possibility that there's something in their historical background, in the DNA of many years of learning a certain way, that might make someone from many generations being Jewish have a certain tendencies within their DNA or something? Maybe. I don't know. I think if God would say, I don't think it's a very good formula to work out into the world to tell a certain people, you're the chosen people. It could, first of all, be misinterpreted unless you say, like I interpret it, Ishmael and Esav got a lot of blessings in the Torah. The Jewish people were not saying only that we want to have good things and no one else. Esav and Ishmael got all these blessings, and the Jews printed it in the Torah. Are you going to see it anywhere in the New Testament or in the Quran where it's stating that how many blessings the Jews are getting? No. But here the Jewish people are saying that God is specifically telling Ishmael how much he's blessed and how much Esav is blessed and how much the nations are to be blessed. And he just tells the Jewish people, I want you to be in this small land, to be a light unto the nations. Every one nation is chosen for something else. You're chosen just to say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is God, the Lord is one. Now, if you study the Hebrew, it's not speaking about a specific person, somewhere, or thing. You have to understand all the Kabbalistic concepts of the different names. It's all a ladder disintegrating all physical concepts that you can come up with in our finite intellect, and it's getting to the point of understanding. I had to understand what it means that the Lord is God, Lord is one, and these different Hebrew names between the Yud K Vav K, which people come up to be Jehovah, and what is Elohim, and what is Shalom, and many different there's many different names of God and what they all represent. It's all the ways that the infinite reveals itself within the finite world, and it's all a paradox. It's all comes down to just knowing that we can't know. And the dangerous people in the world are really the people that are convinced that they know. They know what God wants. They know who God is. There's something very dangerous in that. And a lot of times, it's not the people who are confused and are saying, I'm not sure, maybe, could be, maybe not. There's some good things. And those people are not the ones that start the wars to try to conquer and convert people. So, I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm just giving food of thought. And I'm just letting you know from the land of Israel that also the people who try to make Bibi Netanyahu to be out the devil. I was here in 1994 before he was even elected. And you have to understand, from the very beginning, there's been a very big disagreement amongst white Ashkenazi people who basically built the state of Israel between what direction to go, a more left-leaning and more right-leaning. There was Ben Gurion and there was Begin, and they've been fighting from the very beginning, and it has nothing to do with the fact that the people were jealous of Bibi. He went to America, learned at the best schools, became very knowledgeable, and from the late 80s, he was already telling people that Iran is going to be a big problem in the region. He even had to stood up during the Obama years to speak in the House of Representatives and tell the American public, you're going to be bringing a lot of harm to the world if you make this deal of giving Iran all this money and freedom, thinking they're really going to stop building their nuclear facilities. And he was right. And whenever you're going to have someone in politics that long, you're going to have a lot of enemies. Am I saying he's the Messiah? No, but he's not the devil. He's done a lot of good things from Israel. And he's never been right-wing. The right wing, if anyone knows anything about Israeli politics, the right wing in Israel has never liked Bibi, and the left wing in Israel has never liked Bibi. Why? He has always been a moderate. He's always been trying to come up with, let's see where we can have stable, realistic approach, he didn't like to be too much of a decision maker. After October 7th, he was forced to make a lot more decisions, and I think he's leading the world in the right direction of what it has to do to take on this problem of radical Islam. So keep on praying. What a miracle is, I don't know. What God is, I don't know. All I know is the amount of ballistic missiles that we've received on our heads here in Israel could have easily killed thousands of people, but the state of Israel has invested in protecting their people, in systems protecting against the rockets, in people having bomb shelters. In Iran, they do not protect their people. They spend their people's money on supporting and training Hamas, training Hezbollah, training the Houthis, instead of giving their people a good way of life, because they praise themselves that they idolize death. This is in Islam, it's a known thing. Oh, you Westerners are weak. You celebrate life. We celebrate death. What can I say? It's covered, again, it's very dangerous because it has a suit. It's covered in a suit of morality. It stole the Torah. It took the Torah, manipulated it into a new version with wacky stuff together in it. Now, the Torah itself is not such a peaceful book. If you look at the Bible, it's got a lot of things there that I think, slowly people progressed and started changing there too. We should continue to progress, have an open mind, question things. And we should all pray for a world of peace where people don't think they have to convert each other or conquer each other. And you should just leave the Jewish people alone. It's such a small place. Why are you so obsessed with the Jews? Ask yourself, is it jealousy? Ask yourself.